atomic. We are on air. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the April 7th, 2022 Police and Public Safety Committee meeting. I'm going to begin by taking attendance. Councilmember Brennan is here. Supervisor Puccioni is here. I am here. I don't see the town clerk. Town Attorney Finnan is here. Judge Swinton is here. We don't currently have a representative from the fire department. Seth Goldstein is here. Miss Janet Wynn is here. And there is no one I am missing. Okay. We'll begin the meeting. First order of business would be for the minutes from the March 3rd, 2022 meeting. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes? Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? And those minutes are passed. Operations. The Police Reform Implementation Task Force meeting was held March 3rd, 2022. The next meeting is scheduled for today, the 7th at 5:30 right here. We hope to see everyone there. Fleet and equipment, 601 and 602 replacement vehicles are still in the process of being outfitted. Due to supply chain issues, we're still waiting for a particular piece of equipment to put in these vehicles. We have also put out a mini bid for 2 new vehicles for purchase in 2022, but the deputy chief recently advised me that I believe the Ford Explorer, they're no longer taking bids for the 2022 model, only for the 2023 model. Is that correct, Janet? Yeah. So we're gonna have to wait a little bit on that. The building, the Sallyport drain is plugged, and you wouldn't think that that would be a big issue. However, it's become sort of a catastrophic issue, and Charlie is working tirelessly on trying to fix this because this is where we wash our police vehicles. And it seems as though it may be something involving extrication of possible pavement and things of that nature to correct. That could be pretty expensive. And the reason I'm mentioning this is only because we may need to look for some alternative solutions long-term to washing our police cars. So I intend to speak with possibly Matt Yetto and Ray Smith about maybe utilizing their facilities. Obviously it's summer, so we can do it outside, or spring right now into summer. So we're gonna do it outside until the colder weather comes, but some of the estimates that we don't have yet, but Charlie was talking about some pretty high numbers if we had to extricate these pipes. In conjunction with that building, Charlie Regami, we have been talking about the installation of key fob software on the administrative computers. I am happy to announce after many months that we have a scheduled date for the 13th of April at 8 a.m. I know Jessica would have been asking me about that continuously. Training. Recruit guest is continuing to progress through training at Zone 5 Regional Law Enforcement Academy. All reports are that she's doing well. We hope that she stays healthy through this process and continues to progress forward. Our department is starting a unit on situational awareness and law enforcement stress indicators through the Police One Academy platform. This is something that we have several modules set up throughout the year. This is the 2nd or 3rd this year that we're going to be doing. Officers Henry, Apple, and Robinson attended active shooter / rescue task force training at Union College in conjunction with other county agencies. This was sort of put out publicly. I know there was an article done in the paper. It was a successful training. Sergeant Party also helped coordinate and assist with the instructing, and there was a lot of positive feedback locally about it. We really appreciate the Schenectady County Training Board for putting that on, and for Schenectady Police Department for taking the lead in that. We appreciate their assistance with that. I spoke with one of their training officers recently, Officer Danable, and he was asking about possibly our agency hosting it for 2023, so we're going to work on that. In conjunction with sort of that rescue task force model training, I spoke recently with Chief Lingenfelter about his department is looking into putting in an alert training this summer, which is conceptually that rescue task force model from an active shooter or critical incident standpoint. So we're going to look to do some sort of a joint training to get more folks to have that certification this summer. Our department is also looking, I spoke with Chief Harrigan from Scotia about putting together a defensive tactics training and sort of collaborating together this fall. It's hard because when you have limited resources as far as instructors, if you do a joint training with maybe a smaller agency, you can kind of conduct this training more regularly, and we're hoping to get that partnership working for the success of both agencies. Our department is also looking into Celebrate training for Detective Kafaga. Celebrate training, for folks that don't know, is sort of an expert program training whereby if you had a search warrant on a phone or some sort of technological device, you can be able to accurately take all of the information with their software off those things and then be able to dissect them and analyze them in conjunction with that legal search warrant for potential criminal cases. NCAP, I spoke with them and they have agreed to support this training through grant monies because it is rather expensive. It's almost a $4,000 training. So I spoke with them. They were very open and honest, and we kind of had a great dialogue about how I thought it may fall under sort of their grant monies, and they did agree to support it if we could find a training for this year. So I really appreciate NCAP with that partnership and ability to support us through that. Citizen issues, some ongoing issues. Marianne Kapnen, I always mispronounce that, I apologize, requested a stop yield sign at the intersection of Middle Street and East Street, which is an identified uncontrolled intersection. We were able to, myself and Councilmember Brennan were able to meet with the neighborhood over there on April 5th. Thank you to Laura Robertson. She had a connection over there. One of the neighborhood members was able to sort of communicate that we wanted to have this gathering and put it all together. One of the first steps that we had talked about to address this intersection was specific to placing a stop sign on East Street with William Street and Middle Street. And I know that we had done the public hearing, and Elena, I don't know if you can speak to that, if we need to readdress that. We had talked about putting a stop sign possibly on William Street at that intersection. I don't know if we need to do a separate public hearing because we're actually moving it just across the roadway. That's sort of what the recommendation was, or if that would work still.
I'd have to go back and look to see how the public hearing was noticed and what the language was. Is if it was for that intersection and it didn't specify where at the intersection the stop sign would be placed, then it's sufficient to make the recommendation and move forward. But if it did specify where the stop sign was going to be placed and we're changing that location, then we should just do a new public hearing.
Okay. Yeah, and it was, like I said, it was great attendance. I mean, there had been 15 or so neighborhood members there. They brought their kids out, which was great too, and we were able to meet them all. But they did say that it appears as though one of the major problems is sort of bus traffic and other traffic coming down East Street as Williams and Middle hit. So they thought a stop sign there would give more of a safety measure than anywhere else. And we talked about it as sort of a stepping stone to possibly address it through this and then reassess as we move forward and kind of get more feedback and some more data, possibly through a traffic study over in that area after we put the stop sign in. One of the other recommendations was they asked, there's a dead end sign on Middle Street that's sort of further down Middle Street. It's not close to the intersection. And one of the things that the residents had conveyed to us was the fact that they thought maybe moving the sign a little bit closer to the intersection. They have a lot of big box trucks and other folks that are just out for a ride that think that they can go to the end of that road and then they end up at a dead end and they're turning around in people's front lawns and things of that nature. So I know Laura was going to work with me to send an email to Ray Smith about possibly moving that sign.
We're going to put a no turnaround there too? Possibly?
She had requested if we were able to put a no turnaround sign as well. Yes. She did send that email. I think she forwarded it to me that she contacted Ray maybe yesterday. So hopefully that's in the works. Mr. Aaron Hull from Dean Street had expressed many meetings ago about volume and speed in commercial vehicle concerns. I did attempt to reach out to Mr. Hull via phone. I left a message, and I haven't been able to contact him back, but we did get some data back, and I spoke with the CDTC regarding the roadway specific to commercial vehicle traffic, and also just a quick analysis and overview of what our data was in comparison to some of what their data was. And I hope to speak with Mr. Hull directly about this, but at this time, the CDTC sort of believes that Dean Street is doing what it was intended purpose was. And that's not to negate the fact that there may be some outlying speeds and some other things of that nature. But their belief was that in regards to the commercial vehicle traffic and also sort of the data that we collected, there was nothing that really triggered red flags for them regarding what Dean Street is intended to do. We did speak a little bit more broadly, though, and Laura and I have spoken about, and I know Councilmember Moskowitz and Councilmember Brennan and Supervisor Puccioni, we've been talking about holistically looking at this to do some traffic calming measures, because we think that that's sort of going to be the long-term solution to help alleviate some of these concerns. Scott and Tammy Kishbaugh had reached out to us over our department not enforcing weight restrictions on Van Antwerp Road between Balltown and Union Street. They also had some concerns over increased volume and speed and congestion. We did do a traffic survey from that road. It was a dual counter, so it took data from both directions, and it was deployed between March 6th, 2022 at 9 a.m. and March 9th at 12 p.m. The speed summary was as follows. The average speed was 26.7 miles an hour. The 50th percentile was 29 miles per hour. And the 85th percentile was 33 miles an hour. So it appears as though speed is not necessarily from that snapshot an issue from that summation of that survey. The crash summary, Officer Munger did a great job putting this together. So between January 1st of 2000 and March 10th of 2022, there have only been, it appears, 7 property damage accidents between on Van Antwerp Road between Union Street and Balltown Road. So from a crash analysis standpoint, 22 years and 7 accidents is very low, it appears, is very low. So I think we're going to continue to sort of monitor this intersection. We are still waiting on word back from the county regarding the weight limit restriction sign that was placed on that roadway, and where that information is housed and whether or not it's enforceable, because it is not currently in our town code. But we're going to continue to sort of work towards some solutions on that roadway as well, particularly with the weight restriction and finding out that information.
Do you remember what the speed limit is there?
30 miles an hour. Yep. Mr. Benjamin Mastriani reached back out to us regarding Wyoming Ave. He believes there's still some high volume there, and he wants the committee to just sort of continue that ongoing dialogue about signage solutions for all of Old Niskuna. I know something that we had all looked at together, and when I say we, the committee, including the supervisor, I had an idea that was a little bit out there. I'd seen that people did 3D crosswalks and signage that we had a meeting about actually with Laura Robertson, and we were looking into some possible grant opportunities and sort of analyzing whether or not we could do a pilot program with regards to that. Unfortunately, it is not federally approved, and it may be outlawed soon in the United States. So that is not going to be an option for us. But we are going to continue to look at some other creative ideas with signage and possibly printing on the road in some other form to see if there's some other solutions to what it is our community members are requesting. I don't know if anybody wants to speak about any other ideas with regards to signage at the committee. My ears are open. Any recommendations, bring them to me. We'll look into them to see whether or not they're a possible solution for some of these reported issues. Some new citizen concerns. Melanie Bornholt, she was requesting that we get a permanent radar sign on Rosedale Road near Lions Park. There had been one when we originally got signs, and I believe some of the signs were purchased with county monies for county roads. There had been one there for quite a while, and I think it was moved at one point. And we did do a traffic survey over in that area. The survey was done from February 28th through, from February 26th through February 28th. And the posted speed limit where that is done was 35 miles an hour. The average speed was 43 miles an hour. The 50th percentile was 43 miles an hour, and the 85th percentile was 48. So 48 being the 85th percentile is rather fast, I think. 13 over is obviously something that we need to look at. And we had added this Rosedale Road in general to sort of our traffic engagement schedule that we had created. It's something that our officers are regularly supposed to be over in those areas through a rotational basis. We're going to continue to monitor this through not only engagement, but enforcement, and continue to take traffic studies to see if we can't alleviate these concerns in that area. Lori Jancic stated she had speed concerns in the area of Clifton Park Road. This was in conjunction with the Knott Street project. My understanding, the deputy chief spoke with her, it sounds like there's traffic sort of being pushed onto the side roads, obviously, because there's construction going on. And although this is a temporary issue, hopefully, because of the construction, it is something we're going to look at. We have directed patrols to sort of be deployed in the area while this construction is going on to make sure people aren't using the side roads improperly or speeding. And we're going to continue to monitor it. Paul and Debbie D. Annunzio requested stop signs in the area of Knott Street and Baker Ave with flashing red lights due to recent accidents. I did look into the crash analysis for that area. For the last, from 2018 till the present, there was only 6 crashes at that intersection. And only one was listed as a failure to yield. We know that the Knott Street, with all of the crossing roadways throughout Old Niskuna, they tend to be prone to sort of near misses. I think we can all agree with that. The deputy chief did look into that signage particularly because Schenectady has that signage. It's my understanding, again, that they do extensive research and there has to be a justification for purchasing that type of signage. And they are a little bit pricey. They're about $1,700 per sign. So I think it's something we can definitely discuss as we move forward. But at this time, I think that we need to just sort of put directed patrols out to that area and get a little bit more enforcement engagement. And I think that's what we plan on doing from a department level.
That's 2000, what year till present?
2018 until now for that intersection. Moving on to town events. Community Day at the First New York Federal Credit Union. They have requested on April 23rd that we assist with bike safety and child safety seats. Sergeant Frenier has been putting together that event in conjunction with their requests based on staffing. We look forward to assisting them with that. Drug Take Back Day is April 30th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Lieutenant Twitty is going to be doing an excellent job assisting with that, as he always does. So please, if you have any drugs that you would like to dispose of, April 30th is the day from 10 to 2 p.m. The town clerk is not here, and I didn't receive any information from them regarding any ongoing business. Judge, do you have any court issues that you'd like to bring in the fold? Fantastic. Other than my communication regarding the alert training over the summer, I did not receive anything else from the fire departments. The school district, there is a capital project set to begin. I think most folks and residents are aware of that. Traffic is potentially going to be impacted due to the ongoing Knott Street project in conjunction with the school project. We did have a meeting about this. I explained to the school district that we need to be mindful of advising whoever these construction companies are to make sure that they're using the correct roadways as they're transporting the goods, not to exceed the weight recommendations, or excuse me, the weight limits. And also, we did speak about the Knott Street project going on at the same time because we want to attempt to be as least impactful as possible for the commuting times. Personnel, Officer Mara Walter is leaving our department to go to the New York State Police. Just touching briefly on Mara, she's been a dedicated officer of our department and our family, and she will be sorely missed. I want to thank Mara personally for all of her loyalty and hard work and dedication to our department and our community. And we wish her much success in becoming a New York State Trooper. I was speaking with Judge Swinton prior to this meeting. If anyone is sort of built to be a New York State Trooper and be successful at it, I think Officer Walter is one of those people. And she knows the door is always open and her uniform is always here if she decides that she wants to re-engage her Niskayuna family. But we wish her the best of luck. Lieutenant Twitty, Officer Favada, and Officer Apple have completed their probationary periods. From the comptroller's office, I spoke with Janet Wynn. We're sort of at the end of those probationary periods, and they're all doing exceptional jobs. We look forward to their continued contributions, and we would just have to do a resolution for them to make them permanent. Our department is reviewing resumes currently, and we have been interviewing potential lateral candidates. We've been working on 2 such candidates very extensively, and we are hoping with town board support to hire potentially 2 new officers for the April town board meeting. Some other things we've been discussing in our committee, the evacuation/welfare check of functional needs persons 911 registry. I was able to locate Schenectady County's form online. They have a program that is sort of similar to what we've been discussing. We decided that we would put it on the police, on the Town of Niskayuna website under the police page at the bottom on the left-hand side. And people are encouraged to go visit that and look at it and see if it's something that they would be able to utilize for themselves or family members. We're going to see if we can get some feedback on whether or not that sort of adequately addresses what we've been what we've been discussing. Community surveys are still ongoing. This is something that we're going to be working on probably a little bit longer term to make sure that we do it correctly and it meets all the needs. We've been discussing this in reform as well about how to best go about it. One other note about the Niskayuna Police website, under the Town of Niskayuna website, we did add another tab again on that left-hand side. One of our partnerships for mental health purposes is with Northern Rivers, and there is now an actual link directly to all of their information. I think that's a valuable thing to have on our police website, specifically because we can give this information real time to folks to go visit and observe and maybe actually engage in without feeling like they need to directly through us. Our department is also looking into social media platforms to better reach our community with up-to-date information. I've been working with Seth Goldstein, our IT director, on the potential Facebook page for the department to put out more information to our community real time. It's something we're going to, I believe, move forward with in the next month or so. Lastly, under other, we've been looking into a lot of grant opportunities. We recently had a vest policy put out to our members, and I think it's going to give us the ability to apply for the Patrick Leahy bulletproof vest grant. That's something that we have never applied for. I think it's something that would be valuable for our department and our town if we can save monies through that to be able to provide that protection for our officers. And also the Law Enforcement Mental Health and Wellness Act. There's a grant that's due at the end of the month. This may give us some monies if we do apply for it for some of that ongoing officer wellness from a mental health and a physical health standpoint. And there's some things programs we're looking to potentially implement if we were to apply and receive that grant. And I think that's all that I have. Does anyone else have any items that they want to discuss or bring up? No? Okay.
So no. I move to go into executive session pursuant to Public Officers Law, Section 105, subsection F, to discuss matters leading to the employment of a particular person.
Second by you. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay. And we will adjourn into executive session. Thank you so much for everybody for their attendance. No, there will be no further business at the conclusion of this.